Hi guys, welcome back to this MetaHuman tutorial series, and today we are going to learn how to clothe and dress up a MetaHuman using Marvelous Designer for the fit and Substance Painter for texturing this outfit. Let's dive in. Once we are inside Unreal Engine, I'm going to open my MetaHuman character asset and I'm going to click on MetaHuman character here, export combined skeletal mesh, and I've already saved one. You can name it however, select the folder that you want to put it in and click save. Once this is done, I would suggest you to put our MetaHuman that we made in our last tutorial and just zero out the transforms so that it's at 0, 0, 0, rotation is 0, 0, 0. This would help us with the live sync that we are going to do with Marvelous Designer. So now once we have put our MetaHuman in the middle of the level, I will go into the Epic Games Launcher tab and I will type live sync, and it's gonna give me two options. I'm gonna select this one, Clo MD Live Sync plugin. This is the one that actually enables us to sync our clothing from Marvelous Designer to Unreal and vice versa. So I will install this plugin, and once I have installed this plugin, I will go into Edit Plugins inside my Unreal editor. I will type live sync. I will enable this plugin and it's going to give me a restart prompt. So I'm going to restart my engine and I'm going to come back in again. So once I've done all of this and I'm back after restarting the engine, I'm going to go into my selection mode and I'm going to see that it's going to give me a Clo MD Live Sync option. The keyboard shortcut for it is Shift+9, but I'm going to click it anyway. So I'm going to select this, and since I have an empty project opened in Marvelous Designer, so it's going to give me a green tab. This means that Marvelous Designer is open and Unreal is able to identify it and it has formed some kind of a live connection. Let's go back to our combined skeletal mesh right here. Once I'm inside my mesh, I'm going to create asset, create animation, create from reference pose. What I'm doing essentially here is that I'm creating an animation asset that can be treated by Marvelous Designer as the live avatar. This is just format, import, export, IO hygiene and nothing else. So I will just go back into my MetaHuman folder and I'm gonna click OK. So now it gives me an animation sequence which is from the reference pose and nothing, it's just a single frame. So now I see that I have this live sync tab available here. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click on skeletal mesh. There's another option called geometry cache, and this is only used if there is some animation that I need to export to Marvelous Designer to actually see how my clothing fits on that animation. But for now, let's just stick with skeletal mesh. And I think I'm just going to press export. All looks good. So once I've exported from Unreal, I'm going to see that my avatar is nicely streaming in Marvelous Designer's viewport. So I'm going to go into avatar and click on avatar editor. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create a fitting suit for my avatar, which gives Marvelous Designer a reference point to fit custom clothing and garments to my avatar. And as you can see, I've come in, I've clicked on auto create fitting suit and it has given me very symmetrical and accurate cloth pieces. So now I'm just gonna drape this fitting suit, click on drape fitting suit, and I see that nice. It's very nicely fitted to my avatar, and I'm just gonna save it and I'm gonna close out. Once this is done, there are a few ways to clothe the MetaHuman. So there are pre-made assets on stores like Connect, Clo Library, and from here I can just select a garment. I can select the price as free. I can select my compatibility or style software to Marvelous Designer, and I see that there's quite a bit of collection. But since we are going to do a Substance Painter texturing, so I don't really need the textures, I just need the basic clothes. So I have downloaded a few things. So I've downloaded some leather boots, this. So I'll just click on the asset, click add to cart, gives me a download option to select the format. So I'll select ZPRJ because I'm working in Marvelous Designer. So the boots are something that I've downloaded. But coming back to the shirts and the pants stuff, so that can be done from very much inside the Marvelous Designer's window. So I'm going to go into window and just select my modular library here, and I'm going to go into basic shirts. I'm going to add the front, just double click on these things and just make sure that you are aligning all these patterns a little away from the avatar, because whenever I double click, everything's just gonna come one on top of the other, and we just want to avoid that, so that if we want to edit our pattern separately, we can. So now I'm gonna double click on the back and I get the cloth back. I'm gonna have him with half sleeves, so it's gonna give me both the sleeves. I'm just making sure all my patterns are aligned nicely and distinctly so that I can edit them whenever I need to. And I'll give it a round color. So now I'm going to select, just click and drag, left click and drag, and bring my t-shirt to a point where it's just above the shoulders and above the neck. I'm going to make sure that it has a fitting suit. So since it's a Marvelous Designer garment, fitting suit, and I'm also going to show my avatar fitting suit. This is the one that we just created. So when both these things are available for MD, what we do is we just go into our toolbar here and we just click on redrape, rearrangement, and we see that it's quite nicely fit. I'm just going to hide the fitting suits. And if it's not perfect, then just press spacebar to simulate the garment, and it gives you a pincher that you can actually like hand pinch things and just fit them nicely. And just the collar here. So this is very intuitive. It actually helps you adjust the clothes by hand. It feels very tactile as it's supposed to. So once I'm happy with my fit, and press Ctrl K. What it does is it freezes my garment and it becomes immune to simulation, because I'm happy with the fit, so I don't really want to simulate this garment anymore. Also, I'm going to press Shift Q to hide it. Now I'm going to move on to the pants. So I'll go back to men, bottoms, I have trousers. I'll just make sure all my patterns are distinct. I'm going to click on trouser front, bring it here. I'm going to click on trouser back, bring it here. I'm going to get a waistband, bring it here, select everything, just move this only so slightly so that it sits almost roughly on the avatar. It doesn't have to be perfect. Once this is done, I'm just going to check if it has a fitting suit. It does. Just going to check for my avatar. This also has a fitting suit. I'm going to click redrape. Gives me something. It's going to close out of the fitting suits now. And I'm going to press spacebar to simulate this. And I see that it's a decent fit. A point to note here is that whenever we are happy with how the garment is fitting, we just need to exit out of the simulation. The fastest way to do it is press spacebar. There's also one more trick. Like if I feel that, okay, this is too loose, I can select the whole thing and here come into the properties tab and go into shrinkage weft, shrinkage warp, and just reduce them to 90. It's a good practice to just keep them the same. Once this is done, I'm going to click on redrape and I'm going to press simulate. It's a little low-waisted, but I think it'll work for me. You can always make micro adjustments, take this up, simulate again, pause the simulation, do this back and forth a bit. Once you're happy, I'm going to do the same. Control select everything, select all patterns, press Ctrl K, freeze this and press Shift Q to hide this. Now I'm going to move. As we can see, there are no shoes here in the modular library. So I'm just gonna use the ones that I downloaded. So I'm just gonna click on File, Add, Project, and these are the boots that we downloaded. I'm gonna click on Open, Add Garment. The units should be centimeters. Since we're working with Unreal, let's just bring this pattern down here. And we see that we have a pair. So let's just select these boots individually. And the best way to fit clothes is to first, immediately after the import, just put them in their right place physically before simulation. This is something that is a great practice and actually eliminates a lot of gotchas that might come along the way. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, as I said earlier. Once this is done, let's simulate it for a sec. And whenever we are trying to auto-fit something, we just have to make sure that our particle distance is set to 20. If it's not, Marvelous will actually prompt us to make it as such. And yeah, this is nicely done. Since we are wearing full trousers, I think I'm just going to take the top of these boots out and I'm just going to select these top pieces. I'm just going to click and select these top pieces, and I'm going to press delete. Now I'm just going to bring back my other outfit pieces and select everything and press Shift Q. And now we see that our shirt is tucked inside our pants. And this is happening because we haven't really assigned the layer numbers to the garment. So Marvelous Designer does not know what comes first. Anyway, go ahead. But if we want the shirt outside, then let's just have a look at how our layers are numbered. So here we have the shoes. We can see that they're layered as layer 0. And then we have the pants. They are also layered as layer 0. Since there's no overlap between these two, so they sit nicely without conflicting with each other. But let's just name it as layer 1. This is a good practice. And now, since we want our shirt to be out, I'm just going to click on layer 2. And since all my garments are frozen, I'm just going to unfreeze them. I'm just going to freeze my shoes because I don't really need to simulate my shoes. And the moment I press simulate, my shirt's out. I can always just do a little bit of playing around, just make sure. So this gives us some kind of a fit. Once we are happy with our fit, what we are going to do is we are going to select everything and make sure that all our garments are assigned to a single fabric. This is a Substance Painter hygiene practice if we want to be able to texture our clothing in Substance Painter. So we have to follow this step. So what I'm going to do is select everything, right click and go to assign to new fabric. And I can see it has assigned it to fabric 2. I'm just going to delete everything else. And I'm just going to name this as outfit. Once this is done, let's go into window and click on UV editor. And we see that the UVs of these clothes are all over the place. An important point to understand here is, after we have assigned everything to a single fabric, we'll name it as outfit. And now we have to prepare it for Substance Painter. For that, we have to assign its correct UVs and follow a workflow called the UDIM workflow. So what exactly is a UDIM workflow? UDIM stands for U-dimensional IDs. Basically, it's just giving all your UVs the shadow information, the normal information of your cloth, and it's putting it in different tiles. So it's very, as you can see here, everything is scattered. But for UDIMs to work, what we have to do is we have to assign different cloth pieces to individual tiles. And we see that these UDIMs follow the coordinate system. There's 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, -1, -2. So for UDIMs to actually work, we have to make sure that all our clothing UVs are in the positive side of things. They have to be in the first quadrant, and to be able to texture clothing in a way that my sleeves are a different color, my frontal is a different color, my collar is a different color, I need to arrange my clothing pieces in different tiles. So easier done than said. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select my shirt, go to the UV editor, make sure my shirt's selected, just take it away from the pants, and these are the sleeves, these are the front and back, and this is the collar. So maybe we can have the collar and the sleeves of the same color, and we can have the front and back of the same color. So here, please be sure that you assign the things that need to have different textures or a different color to a different tile. Here it is my collar, as you can see. My sleeve 1 and my sleeve 2 are going to be a different color. And make sure that they are well settled inside the tile and they are not intersecting these tile boundaries. Same goes for all other cloth pieces. So now I'm just going to take my pants, go back to the UV editor and just bring them here. Scale them down a bit so that they fit. And if I want to have a different color for the waistband, I'll just put it in a different UDIM tag. For my shoes, I don't want to put anything different right now, so I'm just gonna make sure that all of these lie in the same UDIM tile, and just gonna nicely arrange everything inside my tiles. Make sure that everything looks nice. So now I've arranged my UDIMs, and so now we need to send this out to 2 different softwares. To Unreal as a static outfit mesh, and to Substance Painter as a mesh that needs to be textured. So let's just take this into Unreal first. I'm going to open Unreal, check that my live sync connection status is green. I'm just going to select mesh. I'm not going to select material. I'm going to include garment. I'm going to make sure it's a single object. It's thin. Unified UV coordinates needs to be checked because we are going to use UDIM tiles. I'm just going to click on update. It will just prompt me to turn off the simulation, and since that's already off, I can go ahead and click OK. It takes a second to update. And as you can see, I have my outfit here. Doesn't have any textures, it has nothing. We're going to do that in Substance Painter. I'm just going to click on save, and I'm going to select my MetaHuman, and I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to save everything. I'm going to come here into my MetaHuman folder. It's going to create an untitled folder. Go inside it, go to static mesh, double click on it. The important thing to note here is that you just need to have one material slot. So if you have multiple material slots, then you need to go back and recheck your import settings. But you need to have just one material slot. That means it's a correct import. You'll understand in a bit why. So now, since we are done with importing this outfit in Unreal, let's get to the meat of the thing. So now I'm going to select all my patterns. I'm just going to check again that all my UVs are nicely aligned. Once that is done, I'm going to go File, Export, OBJ selected. I'm going to name my outfit as whatever I like. I'm going to save it. Understand these settings clearly. So right now we are not using or dealing with buttons here. We are not going to use graphics and trims. These graphics and trims usually are zippers, buttons, belt buckles, etc. So I'm just going to uncheck this. I'm just going to make sure I've selected all my patterns. I have a single object. It's welded, it's thin, and I'm going to use unified UV coordinates because we are going to work with UDIMs. And I'm going to press OK. This is done. I'm going to open Substance Painter. I'm going to click on New. I'm going to select my outfit. I'm going to click on Open. This is 2K. You can also select 4K if you want 4K textures. That's totally up to you. And I'm going to go ahead with 2K for now. Just make sure this is checked. Use UV tile workflow and preserve UV tile layout per material and enable painting across tiles. Just make sure this is checked. My template needs to be Unreal Engine starter assets, and I'm going to click on OK. And as you can see, I have my entire outfit ready to be textured. Just a little bit of scrolling and navigation controls for this. I'm going to press Alt and my left mouse button to just move things around, Alt and my middle mouse button to just move it. This is for rotation, this is for panning. For the UDIMs also, I press Alt and my middle mouse button to move these things around. So it's pretty simple, and as you can see, all my UDIM tiles are properly being detected by Substance Painter because everything was kept in the positive first quadrant. We can always cross-check. This is how it was there in Marvelous Designer. This is how it is in Substance Painter. Now we can go ahead and texture. So let's start with the jeans first. I'm going to use a fabric called denim. I'm just going to left click, drag and drop, and just put it above this layer 1. Now it's going to apply it to everything. But since we used the UDIM tiles workflow, I'm going to come here and click on this square here. And it shows me all the different tiles it has been applied to. And since we only need these two, so I'm just going to leave 1002 and 1003 checked, and I'm going to uncheck everything else. And now you can see that we have the jeans here, but obviously this looks a little off. So just to make it look a little more realistic, I'm just going to click on my material here, and it's going to open up the material properties. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase my tiling. Scroll in and out to zoom. Just bring my cursor here, and now just go back to tiling, and I can increase this. I can maybe rotate this. I can offset it a bit, make it a little more random or believable. Yeah, nice. But since I have half a part of the jeans in another UDIM tile, we can do something interesting. So I'm just going to click on my fabric denim again. I'm just going to put it on top. Just make sure these come as separate layers. This is the easiest way to go about it for quick texture. Now I'm just going to click on the UDIM tiles, and apart from 1003, I'm just going to leave everything out. So it's just the back of my jeans. Again, tiling, rotation, offset, and I'm going to scroll down, and here I have the color properties, warp yarn color and weft yarn color. I'm just going to pick up the warp yarn and I am just going to make it slightly darker. So it just gives some character to my jeans. That's it. That's why we use UDIMs. So now quickly we can just use cotton for our t-shirts, and I'm just going to put it on top. Just click on the tile here and just make sure you want to give it to the front and back of your t-shirt, because this is where we put the front and the back. So it's tile 1011. So I'm just going to uncheck everything else. I'm going to zoom in, click. I'm going to go into tiling. Also, a good practice is to actually label your material. So I just double click here and it's jeans front. I can always check the visibility as it's the jeans front. Here it's jeans back. And always go back to the color, and if you by chance just replace your material, just double click, come back, change your parameters, and you will be golden. Yeah, looks nice. And now I'm just gonna name it as my torso. Always come back to layer 1. Now I just want the same fabric but different color. Just gonna go back here. My sleeves and my collar are in 1012, so I'm just gonna unselect everything else. Just make sure my sleeves and collar are here. I'm just gonna name it as sleeves and collar. I'm gonna click here. Again, adjust the tiling a bit, rotation, offset, go into the color. Maybe that is pink, that could be a little bluish or purplish or something like that, something funky, something that goes with the character's hairstyle maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it like this. Now I'm just left with shoes. I'm gonna select a leather fabric. I have a leather fabric. I'm just gonna drag and drop this inside. Leather grain, and I'm just gonna name it as shoes. Click on my UDIMs. Just make sure everything else is unselected. Click on here. Go into my properties. Just adjust the tiling a bit so that it doesn't look like animal skin. Yeah, it looks just about right now. And I think I am happy. There are always so many adjustments that you can make. Also, one more thing, that if your t-shirt or cloth appears broken like this here, so this might be a lot more pronounced in different kinds of garments, so don't worry, just it's a viewport thing. So we just go into window, views, and shader settings, and since PBR metal rough is an outdated shader, I just click on here and I use something like an alpha test or an alpha blend. Yeah, so I use this alpha test, close out, and yeah, you'll see that now your costume looks fine. So I'm happy with this. Now let's bring these textures into Unreal Engine. I'm going to press Ctrl Shift E. It'll bring me into the export window, or I'm just going to go into File, Export Textures. Brings me to the same place. Just select a folder of your choice. Just going to make a new folder. And I'm going to select this. Just make sure your output is Unreal Engine pack, PNG, 8 bits. Everything seems fine. Don't really have to think too much here. And I'm going to click export. And this is done. Now let's go inside Unreal. Okay, now we are back inside Unreal Engine. I'm just going to throw my garment in to my level, reset its transforms. Just press G to remove my gizmo. All seems fine. One important thing is I'm just going to go into edit, project settings, and make sure that virtual textures, this support is on. That's it. If this is not on, check this box on and then restart your system once you restart it. So now I'm going to bring in the textures. So now when my mesh sits nicely on my MetaHuman, let's just bring in the textures. So I'm just going to go into my textures folder, And here an important thing to note is that every tile has three texture maps. One is a base color, one is a normal, and you'll see that every texture has the tile ID at the end of it. So we just have to select one tile. So I'm going to select the base color for the first tile, 1001, the normal, and the ORM map, occlusion, roughness, and metallic. And I'm just going to drag and drop these into my content browser. And you will see that VT is written on these thumbnails. That means that Unreal has recognized them as virtual textures, and with UDIM information, our import is good. So don't worry about the rest of the textures. Everything has been encoded here nicely. Now I'm just going to create a material. That's why I did not import the material using the live sync method, because I'm going to create a new one here. I'm going to name it as M Aman outfit root. I'm going to open this. I'm just going to shift select my textures, bring them inside, drag and drop. This is my base color. I can always come here and just hover over this to check if it's the right map. So the base color's RGB gets plugged into the base color here in the material. The normal's RGB goes into the normal. And since this is an ORM map, so R goes into ambient occlusion, G goes into roughness, and B goes into metallic. I'm just going to save, and I'm going to open my garment mesh again. So now in this mesh, just click on this, and you see that, all right, it has applied it to our MetaHuman. Don't worry about this button glitch. As I said, that buttons are taken care of separately using Marvelous Designer. You can always be smart about it and delete it. I probably forgot to delete this. So this is how we fit clothing to our MetaHuman using the LiveSync plugin and texture them using Substance Painter through the UDIMs workflow, just to get these customized looks. So that brings us to the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this. In the next tutorial, we'll see another interesting and a much faster method to clothe our MetaHumans in real time and be able to iterate even faster. I'd like to thank you guys for staying till the end of this video, and your feedback is valuable, so please like this video, share your feedback with us in the comments. Please press the bell icon and never miss a notification. Please subscribe to us. Thank you.